Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So if you're new here, welcome. It's nice to have you. My name is Sarah and my channel here is all about my life in Poland. I am an American expat. I have lived overseas for about 4 years now. I love it. It's fantastic. So over here we talk a lot about my thoughts about Poland, living abroad, what I miss about America, comparing America and Poland, all those fun things. So if you like travel and just kind of learning about a different country, then please be sure to hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up button so that I know you guys like this type of video. But today I thought I'd do something a little bit different, and I have a lot of new faces on my channel these days, and I thought it'd be fun just to kind of sit down and have you guys get to know me a little bit better. So I asked you guys over on my Instagram as well as here on the YouTube community channel about different questions you have for me that I can answer here and have kind of more of an open conversation here. So if you guys have any other questions you want me to answer, I will be sure to do that in the comment section. I try hard to respond to all of you guys. So leave some comments there if you have any other questions for me. And let's go ahead and get started with some burning questions you guys have. Okay, so the first question I have from you guys is, if you had the ability to change 3 things in the US, what would they be and how would you do this? It's a great question. So one of the things I think I would change, I've talked about this in a previous video, is the US healthcare system is atrocious. And having for-profit healthcare, what is that? That is absolutely ludicrous to me. So personally, I love the healthcare here. In Europe, I feel like you get a lot more for what you're paying into. And again, I have an entire video about that. So I will link it up here for you guys. So you can go watch that after you're done with this video. But that is one thing I would change. I don't think there's like a specific way to change the healthcare system in America, because the US is so big with so many states and so many different things going on that I honestly don't have a solution to fix the healthcare system in America. But I do know that is one thing that I wish would change about the States. Another thing that I kind of wish would be changed a little bit about the States is, it's going to sound really stupid, but the appliances in the different homes. So over where I lived, gas was the main thing that you cooked on. It was like top of the line, everything. And I just went back to America about a month ago or so. You can watch that video about what I thought about going to America up here as well. So many plugs today. But I was shocked about the quality of homes and the infrastructure of construction over there, especially compared to here in Europe. I've talked a bit more too about different apartments, both in Europe and America, and kind of what you get for your money and things like that. So it was just kind of really brought to light that in the States, it doesn't feel as updated and modern. Like, yes, there are brand new houses, but they're built with wood instead of concrete. They're not as insulated. They're not as well built. You don't get the induction stoves like how you get here in Europe. So I think a lot of that's just kind of a mentality like, oh, you build a house with wood. Not necessarily. You can build it with a lot of other materials too. But I don't know if I really have like a suggestion to either change this, but just like the mentality of like, oh, well, gas is superior to everything. I don't think so. I think there are a lot of like induction. I personally really prefer that. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I wish that was a little bit different, but again, I can't really change that. One last thing that I really wish the States would adopt is a different mentality when it comes to work-life balance. Because here in Europe, I feel like the work-life balance is amazing. You get like 4 to 5 weeks of vacation every year. They encourage you to take time off. They, encourage you to take the weekends off. You're not constantly running around and trying to climb the corporate ladder. Granted, it is nice to have a good job and have a good wage and, strive for those types of promotions within your job. But I feel like in the States, it's kind of overboard. You get like a maximum of 2 weeks, or like not a maximum, I guess, but like a lot of jobs provide 2 weeks of vacation. And that's including sick leave. And then it's like, okay, great. Well, but if you get sick and you spend, a week in bed, then you really only have a week left of vacation. So then what do? I mean, that's really difficult. So I do wish that the U.S. would adopt more of a work-life mentality. And again, a lot of that comes back to the corporate jobs and things like that. So it would be really great if, that could kind of get implemented a bit more, where people realize that they don't have to live to work, rather than all like you're just working to live instead of the other way around. So I don't know, Europeans really have that mentality down pat. Okay, second question is, you stated that Poland feels like home after a few years despite living in the US most of your life. Why is that? I think a lot of it honestly boils down to the quality of life that we feel we have here in Poland. I'm going to put a disclaimer. Both me and my husband are employed elsewhere. We do not have Polish jobs. We are here because we own a business in Poland, but we have our own sources of income that are not in Polish dollars. So yes, we are very fortunate to have that. But because of that, I really do feel that we have a much better quality of life. I feel that we're all about the value, what you get for your money and like what you pay for that. I don't like paying for things that are expensive just to be expensive. Like we went on a vacation to Malta a few years ago and I felt that the prices were really expensive for the low quality things that we ended up getting. And we weren't happy with that. Again, I don't mind paying the extra money for something. I just have to feel like the value is there. And I feel like here in Poland, what I pay dollar-wise is equal to the type of thing I get. So like if I go to dinner and I get a really nice dinner, and it's like $30 for 2 people, I don't mind paying that because I feel like the quality is so good. I don't mind paying for groceries or for rent. Like my rent here, I feel like all of that to me is worth it. And I feel like we are a lot happier here just like with the overall, again, the quality of life and the style of life that we live compared to how we lived in America. Granted here we were able to like save way more money just because of the income that we have. But in America, we wouldn't be able to do that at all. So we're able to reach goals a lot faster over here. We're able to, travel and do all that kind of stuff over here. So granted, yes, you could do that in America, but it's just a lot harder because again, you don't have the time off. It's very expensive to live in America. It's a little bit crazy, honestly. So we're honestly just a lot happier over here, and hopefully we continue to be that way. Granted, you don't know what the future holds or, where you're going to end up going or what the world's going to look like or anything like that. But as of right now and for the last few years, we have been very, very happy living in Europe, and we're just very grateful that we have the opportunity to do this while we can. Third question here is, what do you miss about the U.S.? So I honestly don't hate America. I mean, granted, like for all the things I've been saying, you might think I do, but I really don't. One of the things I miss about the States is, number one, the Mexican food. Guys, the Mexican food in America is 10/10. It's my favorite thing ever. When I was back there a month or so ago, I ate way too much of it, and I do not feel sorry about that. Another thing I miss is just the ease of driving everywhere. I've talked about this before. I have a Polish driver's license, but I hate driving in Europe. The roads are so small, and I get that it's an older country. The city is much older, all of that. I totally understand all of that. But my gosh, is it easy to drive in America. The roads are so big, and it's so easy to find everything. And I really did realize how much I missed that when I went back. Also Target and Trader Joe's. So I guess that's more than one thing that I miss about the States, but I'm going to put that in there. Another question is, what is your favorite European food? Oh man, this is hard because I've been to so many countries. If we're talking Polish food, I love a good żurek. It's like the Polish sour soup. Oh my gosh. Zakopane does it right, guys. I know every region does it different, but żurek has my heart. Also a good pierogi ruski. Very good as well. Oh gosh, another good European food. I really enjoy a good Wiener Schnitzel from Austria. Delicious, so good. Any pasta from Italy. You cannot go wrong with pasta in Italy. But if I had to choose like a favorite wine within like the culinary cuisine, I would definitely choose anything, like any red from Italy. In my personal opinion, it's just the best. Okay, another question is, what surprised you the most when you came to Poland, both in a positive and negative way? Were there any culture shocks? I would say it really didn't feel like so much of a culture shock to me because my husband is Austrian and like half Austrian, and I feel that Austria and Poland, they're not the same country, but they have similar vibes to them. They have a lot of the same like types of cuisine. They have a lot of the same architectural style. Like to me, it just has always kind of felt very familiar just because of who I'm married to and where that his family has come from. And so we've traveled over here many times before we actually moved, and that's kind of how we knew that it was totally fine. So I feel like that's kind of the reason it's always felt like home to me. I would say probably the only hard part has just kind of been readjusting to like such a different language, because Polish is a Slavic language, and my husband speaks fluent German, and I was learning a lot of German before we moved here, and those languages are very, very different. So Polish isn't necessarily a language where you can just sit down in a cafe and listen to people and then pick it up and start speaking it, like how I felt it was with German. So I feel like that was kind of something that I wasn't expecting, and that was kind of hard to adjust to. Now I'm used to it. I'm not fluent by any means, but I can definitely get around in Polish. I understand what people are trying to say to me, so I feel more comfortable with that. But for a while there, I felt like that was kind of the hardest part. The thing that surprised me the most in a positive way coming to Poland was we weren't expecting to love it here as much as we did. Again, like, you never hear people talking about, oh, Poland's the best and you should go live in Poland and you should move to Poland, and Poland has all of these great things. I had no idea. I did not know anything about Poland before moving here. I just knew that you had Krakow and you had Warsaw. I didn't know anything. I didn't know that you guys had these incredible places up north by Gdańsk and Sopot and Gdynia and Szczecin and Świnoujście and, Mazura. Oh my God, Mazura. And it's just like, you have all of these places, then you have the mountains in the south, and you have like all of these incredible countries to your east that you can go visit. And Poland is so diverse and it's so big, and there's so many places to see. I've done a whole video about like some of the places that I really loved in Poland. I'll leave it up here again, but I just did not realize that there was so much to do and see, and that we would love the diversity of living here as much as we do. Another really good question is, where do you feel more safe? Is America really that dangerous as it's often portrayed? I don't think America is like deadly, I guess, but there are certain cities that have a much higher crime rate than others. So for example, I'm from Boise, and I went to school in Reno. I did not feel very safe in Reno in certain areas. Downtown in like the casino area, terrifying. I would never go down there by myself at night. Lots of stabbings, shootings, that kind of stuff. I remember across the street from campus where I went to school, they had like the train tracks, and you did not go to the train tracks at night because you would get stabbed. And it was always really scary walking home, because you would hear about like all the rapists and things like that, and you're just like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared to walk home at night. So you'd always carry pepper spray and walk in lit areas only, walk with a friend. I would call, my husband was my boyfriend at the time. I just called him and be like, can you just walk me home from class? It's dark out. I want to be safe. So unfortunately, there are places like that. But then you would go to a different part of Reno, up in the northwest or something, and it was absolutely nothing to worry about. But downtown was really scary. I would say in Boise, I didn't really ever feel super scared, just because it's a very family-friendly community. It's pretty safe. The crime rate is fairly low. However, Chicago, Detroit, downtown LA, downtown New York, even Las Vegas, oh my gosh, no, I would never go out by myself at night. So again, I've traveled a lot in the States. I lived there for so long. And so I've always just kind of grown up with that awareness of, hey, you really need to be careful of where you're going at night, all that kind of stuff. And then here in Poland is totally different. My girlfriend and I will go out at night and, go to a club or whatever, and I'll just walk home by myself at 2 a.m. I don't feel worried or concerned or anything. So that's a very big difference. Never once living in Europe have I ever felt scared or threatened in any way, whereas I would never walk home from class in Reno, Nevada at 4 or 5 p.m. when it gets dark. Never, ever in my life would I do that. I always have something on me here. I don't even think twice about it. So, I do think there are parts of America that are really dangerous and other parts that aren't. But I would say overall, the rule is just don't do anything by yourself at night in certain areas of town. Granted, it could be like that everywhere else, but just like here in Krakow or Vienna or Salzburg or Munich or, all these places that I've been, I just never felt scared really doing anything. I also remember I was in Croatia one time, and we were in Zagreb, and we were out way late at night, and no problems, but it was Zagreb, Croatia, and I was like, this is so crazy that it just feels so safe to me. If you guys live in America, you probably know what I'm talking about. Question 7, 8, 9, whatever. Why don't you move to Warsaw? You said you like big cities. yes, I do like big cities, but the reason I don't live in Warsaw is Warsaw feels like a gigantic city, and which I know it is, but it's so modern, and Krakow feels European. It feels medieval. I mean, you have the old town that has been there forever, and it wasn't destroyed in the war, whereas the old town in Warsaw was leveled. They had to rebuild it. And so, yes, you have that. But it just, like, you have the skyscrapers everywhere in Warsaw. It is a huge city, and it literally doesn't feel any different to me than like New York or LA, just kind of like on a smaller scale. And I don't really like that. I like living here in Krakow, where it feels like a big city, but it also feels like a small city. I feel like I kind of have like my little routine, and I'm within walking distance to the old town, and I really like that. And I feel like I wouldn't get that so much in Warsaw, just because Warsaw does feel so corporate and so much like just a skyscraper central. Another question, is the language barrier still a struggle? Kind of, I think. I can get around, I can understand what people are telling me, I can kind of pick up different parts of conversations. And I have learned that the spróbuję po polsku works wonders no matter how good you are in Polish. If you just say spróbuję po polsku, they really get it, and it's like a big L on your forehead, and they just know, I gotta speak to you like you're a 2-year-old, and I do appreciate that. So it's just like the little tips and tricks that you learn when you're over here. But and obviously, like, you'll try, and if you are putting in the effort, people will respect that, and they appreciate that. And then we can kind of switch to English if the conversation gets too difficult. Another question is, did you find it possible or easy to make Polish friends? It's a little bit difficult, because I think there's two sides to this coin. First of all, I work from home and I work remote, so I don't have the opportunity to go into an office every day and meet Polish people. But we have met Polish people through just different connections and things like that. So I wouldn't say it was hard. It was just took a bit more effort, because I don't work at an office. I know people who work in an office, and they're expats, and no problems. They meet Polish people all the time because they're working with them. And so they go to functions and they become friends, and you just share that connection with Polish people, right? I haven't had that. So we have met Polish people here, and we are friends with them, but it's been through different circumstances than if you were at a normal job. Another question is, what are some things you are still struggling with here in Krakow? I think something that I kind of struggle with is finding new things to do. I feel like I have such a routine, and I work all week. I go to the store, I run my errands, I go downtown to meet my friends. I feel like I do the same thing all the time, especially now in the winter when it's cold outside and snowy and there's not much to do, right? I know you can go skiing, and we like to go skiing and do that kind of stuff, but I feel like kind of by the time the weekend comes, I get into just such my habits, my routines, right? I read a book, I go shopping, I hang out with my friends, and then Monday morning hits and I'm back at work. So I do struggle to kind of like find new and interesting things to do, especially in the cold weather. So if you guys have any suggestions and you live around the Krakow area, please let me know. I'm actually going to be going on a trip next month, so I'm very excited about that. But just kind of in the interim, trying to like spice up my weekend and just find something different to do with something I still kind of struggle with. Do you recommend buying groceries online? I think it can definitely be helpful, especially if you work a lot and you don't have time to go to the store. Like, for example, I work very long hours, and I work Monday through Friday, right? So by the time the weekend comes, kind of the last thing I want to do is go to the grocery store, right? So that could be helpful if you just have it delivered. One of my friends here used to order her groceries online, and then they left, but they loved it. That's all they did, and it's really convenient. I'm just also very picky about the produce that I get. If I ask the people to pick out an avocado for me, how do they know it's going to be ripe? How do they know it's going to be the right kind of avocado? What about pears? Do you guys know if pears are going to be ripe? What about pomegranates? So I'm very particular about that. So that's kind of why I like to go in person, but I do think that it can be beneficial if you're really busy. All right, and the last question we have today is, how can you find an apartment in Krakow? So we have always used a real estate agency, and that's how I found this place. We found our previous place with them as well. But you can also go on different local sites. So I can leave some of the links below so you guys can go check them out if you are in the process of looking for an apartment here. But these local sites are just for rent by owner, and you can just go through and take a look at that. The reason we didn't do that is because we found a lot of the owners don't speak English, and the real estate agency does speak English. So that's kind of why we went with them. If there is ever a problem, we just contact them, and then they kind of take care of everything. They deal with all the contracts, they deal with the owner, so we don't have to do anything with that. Whereas if you rented a normal place here, just like a rent by owner, you do have to kind of deal with the owner itself. Like our friends here are currently renting a place by a Polish person, and they only speak Polish. So that, you just kind of have to keep that in mind. But you can get better deals by doing an owner apartment than if you went through a real estate agency like how we are. Okay, and that is it. We made it to the list end of all of these questions. Thank you guys again so much for sending this in. Hopefully you got to know a little bit more about me and just kind of like where my thoughts are with some of these topics. If there are questions that you feel like I didn't fully answer, or you want additional questions or additional answers to any of these, please leave them in the comments down below. Again, please feel free to subscribe, like my channel, and stick around for more videos. I have a few other ones coming up, including one about the dog, because Tucker, for those of you who stuck around this long, you guys are the real MVPs. Tucker is quite big now, and he hasn't been on the channel in a while, so we're thinking about doing something fun with him. We also have a few exciting things coming up in the next month or two that it would be really great to show you as well. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for subscribing, sticking around, and I'll go ahead and see you in my next video.